We're halfway through the year, so it's time to take stock of all those games we've played so far. Hi, I'm Libby, this is Julian, and together we are BoxedMeeples, and we're going to do the mid-year board game tag.
Yeah, so this was started originally by Rolling Reggie. It's the second year he's done this. And he encourages everyone to tag other kind of content creators so we can get kind of a feel from the community of everything that's happened so far in this year. And we were tagged.
We were.
We were tagged by Clay at Beer City Board Games.
Thank you very much, Clay.
So, yeah, we have 10 questions as set by Reggie, but technically asked by Clay, which we are now going to answer.
Yes, let's see what we've been doing with our gaming.
What a year it's been.
So far.
So question number 1 was favourite game. Now I presume this means favourite game that's come out this year.
Yeah, or at least that we've played for the first time this year. That's how I was taking that for sure.
Yeah, we talk about favourite game quite a lot, so that would be a surprise to no one.
Yeah.
My favourite game that nearly came out this year. It didn't come out in 2024 for Kickstarter backers, but it did come to retail in 2024. At least I pre-ordered it and it arrived in January 2024, so I'm going with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes there's a bit of a grey area. If you look at BGG and the release date, it tends to be, you know, when it left a factory or something. And that doesn't account for travel time for Kickstarters, doesn't account for it sort of reaching retail. Sometimes it will come out in different countries earlier than others. Obviously, for us here in Europe, a lot of the game releases will happen at Essen, which is October, towards the back end of the year. But then the time they actually kind of hit retail, sometimes it can edge up into the next year. So we're being quite flexible with that. Yeah.
Well, I got Overboss Duel in January. And I really love Overboss. I particularly play it a lot solo.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting because I think it works quite well two-player anyway. I think the original will work fine. But what Overboss Duel does is specifically a two-player version of the game, which is a lot more take-that-y, where you're manipulating a larger board, but what's on your side of the board is what you're going to score, but you can affect your opponent's half of the board. So it's a slightly new twist on the gameplay.
Yes.
But the reason I was excited about it was because it had lots of new tiles, which you can then also use in the original Overboss. So I can take those tiles and spice up a game that I played 40, 50 times with just some new content, new tiles.
It's one you love playing solo.
I do. I like the kind of, it's very intuitive for me. I love the whole look of the Overboss game. Obviously, that's a follow-up to Boss Monster. And I love that whole pixel art aesthetic that Brotherwise do with that game. So yeah, just getting more content for that was enough for me to want to get it. But we have played it two-player.
We have.
And it's enjoyable. You're ruthless when you play it.
Obviously.
But yeah, it's been a game I continue to enjoy playing now.
I'm going to apologise now for the grumbling of our dog in the background, if you may or may not hear that. Sorry. He wants to be cuddled. There's not much I can do about that. For me, it's one that I've just played, and it is one that was out to be played at UK Games Expo, but it hasn't actually officially released yet. So is this a cheat or not? You'll probably tell me it is.
Going to be released in 2024.
It is. It is.
Technically, it was up to the point we're filming, but
yeah. And it is Cities from Devir. Just such a sweet little game. You know, it's quite snappy. It's not too fast. It's quite thinky in terms of who's going to pick what. Are you going to push your luck and risk it and take one of those hidden cards and just hope for the best? It has a lot of variability in the different cities and stuff that you're going there. Interestingly, we've both actually gone for that kind of tile placement kind of game there. But just I feel like it's one that's going to be really easy to get to the table as and when. I think we can play it with people that aren't usually gamers. I think quite a welcoming kind of game.
It's 4 pages of rules. That's it.
Super easy. So yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I'm really excited to play more and more.
Yeah, it's one of those games we played it, and I was like, "Oh, let's play it again." But time was against us, so we couldn't. But yeah, there's so much.
That's because it was quite late. Normally, I think it is the kind of game that you could play and play. Yeah,
so it's a really great game.
Yeah,
and I think there's a lot of people can be very excited about it.
Yes, yeah. As you can see, we've given in to the grumbling and someone's getting a cuddle. Hello, Fen.
There's a lot of grumbling going.
There was a lot of grumbling and now we're a lot happier, so it's fine, isn't it? The next question coming up is, what is our most played game this year? Now, we do try to track our plays on BG Stats. Obviously, we play on BGA, sometimes online. I always forget sometimes to track those, but you're very good.
I'm quite across it.
And the physical games, we track those too. And I think your most played game might be a solo game.
It is.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But mine is Sea, Salt and Paper. We have been away for a bit, and it's one that's good for conventions and things. There's just been a lot of opportunities to play it this year. We have got the Extra Salt expansion this year as well, which is one that came out at Essen. And we didn't manage to add it till a little bit later in the year, but it's just such a wonderful little tiny pocket game that you can take anywhere, play anywhere, and it's quite interesting. It's not, one of us never wins over the other.
No, it's just battle when playing
what
this game.
tactic plays.
Despite the amount of practice you put in on BGA, you seem to always have a game of it on the go on BGA at some point.
Often, but I've still never won with the 4 mermaid method.
Nearly did.
Nearly did. And you stole it from me.
I stole the
yes,
and the 4th one was available to collect. Good old sharks.
Yes, the sharks and the swimmers.
My most played game this year has been Hostage Negotiator. That won't become as a surprise if you've been watching any of our kind of social media. I've got very much involved in buying, kind of hoarding as much as I can do while at the moment it's been on sale quite a lot. And I'm worried it's going to go to print. Obviously now Final Go has kind of eclipsed it, so I'm worried that it's not going to be as readily available. So I thought I'd better hoover up the stuff while I can, and hoover I have. So I've been playing through a lot of the different abductor packs. I'm not able to play the career mode yet, but I do have it because I'm missing the other base game, which you need to play that. But yeah, playing lots of different abductors. I taught you how to play it.
You did.
And you were like, oh, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. But I've kind of got an even kind of success to failure ratio, which is a sign of, I think, of a good kind of solo game.
My problem is I didn't ever want to give in to their demands.
Now, sometimes you need to lure them out. You need to offer something sweet for get the...
No.
But I really enjoy playing it. I can play it quite quickly. It's sort of 15 minutes. I can even play it on the train going to work. So that's probably why I played it so much.
Yeah.
That's right, Fen. The next question is, what was our biggest board game surprise? Who would have thought it's a talking dog? My biggest board game surprise was a game I thought I really like. I called it Castles of Burgundy, but I was a fool and I was wrong because we played the new edition, which we amazingly have now due to some very generous friends.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it, which just goes to show, if a game looks ugly, I'm not going to enjoy it. But if it looks pretty and has little castles, I'm all over it. It's such...
No, to be fair, I think that you would have enjoyed it more had we had the opportunity to play again.
Yeah, we didn't have a good first experience when I first played it, and had a really great experience when I played it this time. We played it now since, actually on the app, which is interesting to play when we're away. And yeah, there's so many variables in it that just kind of click into place. And I like the kind of luck mitigation you get in it, because you'd think, oh, a dice game, that's not skill, that's just you rolling that's basically snakes and ladders, isn't it? But there's enough sweet amount of kind of manipulation of the results that you can then get, a favourable result that you need to achieve, your objectives. And I do like trying to, work out what your opponent wants and going in there and taking, those 4 cows. You don't need them, but they need them more. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I've been wrong all these years saying it's not the game for me.
Yes, it's one of those where we didn't have that great first game, but I kind of thought, actually, there's something in this game, and if someone explains it to me better and we played it a bit more, I think you'd like it. So I had played it quite a few times on BGA and stuff before we played again properly between us, and kept saying, oh, we should play that again, oh no, didn't like it, and now we've changed our mind. For me, it was a game that everyone had been raving about, so I should have known better. But I kind of thought, ready, set, bet, is it going to be that good. I mean, horse racing, I mean, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure if you've got the right vibe, the right people, it'll be fun. I think it lends itself to that kind of exciting vibe, kind of that kind of topic. But I thought, we've got some other racing games. We've got Camel Up. We've got some group games that will have that kind of vibe. But we played this one at Aircon this year, and it surprised me how much I liked it. And I think, yes, you probably do need a group of the right kind of people, or the people in the right sort of mood for that game to really get into it. And that's where it's going to be fun and silly and hilarious, and you're going to be mocking people because they've gone down on 7
because it's the most
everything.
likely number to come up on dice. Usually dice is gonna be 7 every time.
At the beginning of the game, and then they just never live that down. And those kind of little jokes that you're going to have throughout the games with what people are doing, and also it has lots of different scoring mechanisms as the game plays along. So it's not just the same repetitive roll the dice and move a horse each time. That, not necessarily that I thought that was what it was going to be, but I just didn't
expect got a lot of kind of hidden depth in it, a lot of variables that go. And I think that the enjoyment of that game, as you're saying, is down entirely to the kind of person reading the dice.
Yeah.
If they get energetic and excited and think of funny things to say about the horses, you're all going to get involved. And don't worry if you're kind of not confident about doing that, because it's actually really good.
There is a good app for that.
That works for that.
Yeah, which works brilliantly for that. So, I highly recommend that. And I mean, I thought I'd enjoy it. But I loved it. Fenn's had his cameo, so now he's off. And we are going to talk about game production. So the sort of the prettiest, best looking games that we've seen. And I think I'm going to go all the way back to Castles of Burgundy again. I mean, just such a lovely addition. Yeah. So many different duchies to play with. Those castles are fantastic. Just all of the pieces in there, and so much. It's added quite a lot of colour to the game. It's just brightened everything up. So the box looks lovely.
For me, the best thing about it is just a little plastic tray that goes over the board, because we've all played those kind of games. You bang a table, you tile shift everywhere. It's kind of the quality of life kind of improvements that just make it that much easier to play.
Yeah, all of those components and all those finishing details were fantastic. Even the bags that you draw for, the material on that felt wonderful. Of course, the coins, everyone loves a coin. They felt fantastic. So yeah, just a really lovely production.
Yeah, it's nice that a game of that quality has kind of got the production it deserves. It's kind of a beautiful fusion of excellent game and now fantastic production.
Yeah.
For me, a game I've been thoroughly impressed with was Fractured Skies. Now, we've all seen these kind of Kickstarters where they go, that's a fancy deluxe edition, super duper deluxe, ultra collector's edition with magnets that attach little tokens to the bottom of your ships. What's that going to do? Well, in Fractured Skies, it does quite a lot. It's a really useful mechanism, which is kind of, because this game, while it's a worker placement game, is inherently a kind of bluffing game. You're getting hidden information as you play through the game, and you don't really want your opponent to know what you're doing and where you're placing there.
Yeah, what have you placed there? What do you know? Like, everything's this big, huge kind of, are you ploying your other people into thinking it's one thing when it's another? Are you actually playing it down the line? Who knows?
And yeah, having the magnets at the bottom of that is just a really elegant way of placing out a token, but it remaining hidden. And what's clever is there's certain information on the tokens that's still revealed. But no, it's kind of death or glory. What's your opponent done there? Have they gone all out for that section? Or is it just a bluff and they don't even need to be there? So yeah, it's a really lovely production that I just thought was all gimmick and no gameplay. And I was really wrong. It's a really fun game to play.
It was, yeah, definitely.
Like everyone, we have a shelf of shame. And so the game we most want to get off that shelf of shame before the end of the year. I've actually not gone for a game. I've gone for 2 expansions, which together I think equal one game.
Do you now?
I think I'm eager to play both of these expansions because it means we're going to actually table the base game. And they're both games I really, really love, and having a reason to do that It's fantastic.
But don't make that think that we don't have loads of base games that still need
We
to
do have
get
a lot of games still
tables.
to play.
Yeah.
But yes, Distilled Cast Strength. It's like a mini expansion that mixes up the market a little bit, which is particularly good for 2-player games. Adds a little bit more complexity to the game, just adds an extra weight to it. And I really love the game Distilled. It's been a game we've really enjoyed every time we've tabled it.
Mhm.
It's one of my favourite games from last year. So getting a reason to play it, worth getting an expansion alone just for that.
Exactly.
And the other one,
Excuse to table.
yes,
Yeah.
perfect reason to. And the other one is Marine Worlds, the expansion for Ark Nova, which I think you picked up last year at Essen.
I think I did, yeah. And I was desperate to get it then because I couldn't possibly wait for it to come out at retail. Yeah.
And we haven't played it yet.
Yeah.
What
It has been a busy year.
I think Ark Nova needs is more animal cards. There's not nearly enough of those in there, so having an expansion adds more to it. Actually, it gets through the river quicker. There's various methods that
it does.
actually do. But yeah, I absolutely love playing the game Ark Nova. We don't play it nearly enough, and it's one of those games that every time we do play it, we're like, why don't we play this game more? So
yeah,
being able to play both of those is worth it.
Yeah, latter half of the year we should have a little bit more time on our hands, so hopefully we can start getting through some of these ones that have been sat there for a little bit. For me, my game's even worse than an Essen pickup. My game has been on the shelf of shame for over a year because I picked it up at not this year's UK Games Expo, but last year's UK Games Expo. Oops. And it's a game that I think I'd even spoken about it on a video way before that about how it was one of those games that I was desperate to get my hands on. Finally picked up a copy, super excited to finally have it, and still haven't played it. And I know that I'm going to kick myself the minute we do table it, and I'm going to absolutely love it. From everything I've heard about it, I know that's going to be the case. And to be fair, we did have plans to play it back in March when we were up at Aircon. We were hoping to get it to the table then, and we had some plans, but just that sometimes those things don't work out when you're at a convention. So it is top of the list, high priority. It will get played very soon. Very soon.
Yeah, looking forward to playing it. I heard a lot of good things about Vindication.
Yeah,
so,
but I mean that's a huge box. So if you've taken 2 expansions as one, I mean this one practically counts as 2 all itself. Yeah. So with different people, this question varies slightly. We're talking what game from 3, 5, 10, take your pick, years ago have you first discovered this year? So for me, I'm going way back. I'm taking a trek through history practically, although that's a newer game. And I'm going back to the 1800s, I think, in Canada for Crokinole.
Yeah, that's 10 years.
And of course, I've heard of it before, and I've seen it at conventions. And someone's gone, "Oh yeah, you play by flicking this disc. Do you want to have a go?" And I've flicked a disc. So in terms of discovered, yeah, I've probably
You
poked it once or twice or something, but not in terms of thoroughly understanding what you do and the rules and trying to work. I mean, I have no technique. I don't know why I was starting that trying to work out a technique because no, I don't have any yet. But we were very kindly gifted a Crokinole table for our wedding, and it's now in our coffee table, ready to play whenever we are in the mood for it. So I will have a technique at some point, and it's a game that we're enjoying getting better-ish kind of at. And one, I mean, it's a bit of a wow piece when people come in, like the woodwork on them is just glorious. It looks like the wood so smooth it looks like almost like a mirror. But yeah, it's a very traditional game, but a very fun, classic, interesting one that you can get quite competitive over.
Yeah, it's good to just occasionally play it, and it is such a beautiful addition we have, such a like a piece of art, really. A game I discovered in a charity shop is actually 13 years old. I've saw it in there, £1, might be £1.50, can't remember, but it's Jamaica, and this is it's a race game, it's a push your luck game, very simple to understand. We played it with the family. We actually played it on New Year's Day,
which
is why I know it's this is what we played as as the clocks changed, as Big Ben bonged, we were playing this game, and so it definitely is a 2024 experience. But yeah, a much older game, and I think what's great about this game is you do control the madness to a certain extent. So it does feel slightly like if you are being particularly chancy and it doesn't pay off, you've only really got yourself to blame. But yeah, we had a great time playing it.
It is much like we were talking about Ready Set Bet earlier, and much like that, if you bring it to that table, you can have so much fun. If you start going, "Oh, army hearties," and there's a lot of, "Oh, I've stolen your treasure. Oh, yeah, the guns are out. Oh, this is that, and this is that." So if you get into that vibe and you know that luck's going to come your way, it's not going to go your way, and there's going to be a whole roller coaster of that, and you embrace that fun, it can be hilarious around the table. You just have to sort of engage into that silliness.
It certainly shivered my timbers. Now, at the beginning of the year, we did top 10 games we were most looking forward to in 2024. So if we're talking about games that haven't been released yet, but are going to be released at the end of the year, most of the games on that video haven't come out yet. So refer back to that, have a watch of that, because a lot of the games we're excited for haven't reached our table yet. But we have got a few extras that we didn't know about when we did that video.
Yeah, I mean, several on that list, like Kickstarters that are due to arrive, the pre-orders that are due to arrive. I mean, technically this one hasn't quite arrived in the UK yet here, but that was on the list. But the majority, yeah, we haven't seen hide nor hair off just yet, so that's definitely relevant.
Yeah, but we didn't know about SETI when we did that list, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. And there was a game we really enjoyed called Astro Navigators last year. That's not being released in 2024. It's going to come in the future. So this is going to tide me over because it has a lot of kind of similar ideas behind it. It's a space-based game, but based on scientific fact. And scientific procedures as you search the world, the universe, looking for signs of life. And I really like the kind of multi-layer twisty boards that I've seen for that. I don't know a great deal about it because I didn't get a chance to see it at Games Expo, but looking forward to seeing it, Essen, and I guarantee it's going to be on our table by the end of the year.
Yeah, and there's a few more that I've seen as well. So one of those is Ada's Dream from Alderac Games. That looks super interesting. I mean, the artwork in that unfortunately didn't manage to sort of catch up with that one at UK Games Expo, but definitely looks like a really crunchy kind of game, and nice to have sort of a female front running in that as well.
Really lovely production. Such a nice looking game.
Yeah. Also one that you are kind of modelling here, Luthia from Paverson Games. As you said earlier, we do really love Distilled from Paverson Games. I'm really interested to see what's coming next for them. Obviously, Distilled, we're making all those nice drinks, the whiskies, the rums and things. And this one's all about music, a lovely theme that we enjoy. So you did have sort of a mini prototype trial.
It was a very, very early prototype. But it's interesting that it is looking at kind of that instrument construction, which is a theme I've never seen in a board game.
Yeah.
So,
So it'd be interesting to see how that's developed since you managed to do that sort of playthrough and what's coming from that. But from what we've seen, it looks fantastic.
It really does,
And one other one that is going to be released at Essen that we was announced in the last month or so is the expansion for White Castle Matcha.
Yes, we love White Castle. There's more of that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game. So there's going to be an extra bit of board, a tea ceremony, some geisha. So that's going to be fantastic. Super excited for that. So lots of things coming for Essen. So we're, I'm sure you'll hear more about what we're excited for Essen at some point in the next couple of months. And our last question is, what's our personal favourite video that we have put out as a channel this year? And of course, we will tag that one for you to look at. And I think that our answer is going to be the same.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
But we got married recently, and basically I asked some of our board game friends that we've made in the community over the years that we've been doing the channel, whether they would be willing to do a little surprise for Julian and do a little snippet of video, give us some sort of marital advice if they wanted, some board game advice for couples, for honeymooning, whatever. Make it their own, and there's some very funny people in our board game community, and it was just so wonderful that everyone sort of got together and indulged us with their time in doing that and sending little messages over. So if you haven't seen that one, there's some amazing people in our community, and you need to go and check that out, see what they say about that, and you can get some two-player game advice at the same time.
I think at the very end of that video, you showed it to me just after the day after we got married, and I think you can. So my emotions are riding high, but I think you can see at the end of it just how choked up I was. That all of these people had, as you said, given up time, and it just made me feel really privileged to have met so many lovely people, and these are people we talk to. Some of these we've never had the chance to meet because of other sides of the world. Some of them are now some of our closest friends that we wouldn't have met were we not doing kind of board game content or even just playing board games. So it was so lovely to see all of those people.
Yeah, and I think that sort of community element is what we love the best about being in this hobby. And so often when we have these kinds of what's your favorite video that you put out in this sort of this year or this half year like we're doing now, it always tends to be one of those kind of shared tag kind of videos like this one, because we just love to see what other members of the community are thinking, what we're doing, and feel like you're kind of all part of something. And on that note,
so Rolling Reggie encouraged us to tag people. SETI Games obviously tagged us, so we're going to tag some people as well who would like to do this. But if we don't mention you, that doesn't mean you can't do it.
Absolutely not. No. If you fancy doing this mid-year tag, go ahead and do it. Obviously, make sure that you mention Rolling Reggie because he started this whole thing off. And just go ahead and give us your thoughts. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And of course, if you don't make videos, feel free to give us your responses in the comments as well. But in the meantime, let's give some names.
We know you're watching. So Duel, Table Noughts. Why don't you do a list?
Yeah, we'd love to hear that. Jess and Sean from Allies and Enemies, we'd love to hear you do it.
Lovely couple. Our very dear friends Fun with Boxes, Watch Phil. He's bought a lot of games this year already, so his list is going to be brilliant.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him attempt to pick some.
Yeah. Mitch and Morgan, Emmys for Meeple, another married couple.
Yes.
Married a little bit longer than us.
Yes, great advice.
good marriage advice.
More marriage advice from from Dwayne and Alicia at Blackboard Gaming. We all sort of go back and forth between us on some of these community tags, which is lovely. So we'd love to hear what you have been playing this half of the year.
Our dear friend Ollie at Don't Be Bored, we do contributions to that channel, so we'd love to see what he'd have to say about games.
And Michelle and Billy at Second Star to the Left, we'd love to see what you've been playing if you're able to do a video as well. And as Julian said, if you haven't been tagged, don't worry, just do a video anyway.
Just get involved.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're new to this channel, maybe you found us from this tag process. I'm Julian, this is Libby, and we are BoxedMeeples. We post a video right here on YouTube at least twice a week, which somehow we even managed to do when we're on honeymoon due to the power of scheduling. So do subscribe if that's your kind of thing.
Yeah, and of course, if you're after board games yourself, we do recommend that you go to your friendly local game store. For us here in the southeast of England, that is Chaos Cards. And if you are shopping online, there is a discount code in the description for you to use if you want to save a few pennies at their checkout.
But as always, thanks so much for watching.
Bye.